Branch podcast. I'm your host, Tim. And as you already know, my co host, Matt, Devonte, and Dane. Um, as you can see, we got our new sound equipment. It sounds wonderful. So we just finished watching the Joker movie. We actually did a recording for 20 minutes talking about it, but we did not have the audio set up like we thought. So you would have seen our mouse moving, but nothing coming out. So now we are on the reset part two. We're going to redo this, and that is totally fine. That just means you're going to hear a more refined version of our opinion. So I think we all really enjoyed the movie. It was a very good cautionary tale about when a society chooses to ignore mental health, which is a common problem in today's times. I think this was a good movie to shine a light on that. And it also was a very good character focused movie showing, using Joker as a guise for that. It showed his spiral. It was really well done. You could really feel the character spiraling down. You could see it happening throughout the movie. There were certain key points in the movie where you could really feel and see that. And I feel like anybody that would watch the movie would understand that he's not a hero in the story, that he's someone that was abused, neglected, and needed help. And obviously, that he didn't get the help that he needed. And I think everybody else has some opinions on the movie as well. Matt, what do you think about the movie?
Almost burped. Sorry. I really enjoyed it. I had a few small things that I didn't like, but nothing that was just really substantial. I really loved Joaquin Phoenix's performance throughout it, and the supporting cast was also excellent. Zazie Beetz,
Yeah, she did a fantastic job.
she did fantastic. Robert De Niro almost made me want to punch him in the face.
Yeah, he did a good job playing the jerk uh, comedy show host guy. Yeah, the Mister I'm the big shot and I'm gonna make fun of everybody for my bit, type of thing.
And that didn't pay off for him in
No,
the end.
not at all. Well, it paid off for somebody.
Yeah, well, there are a couple of characters in the movie that are just disconnected, and De Niro's character was just one of those who, while he was living his day to day life, could not understand the perspective and situation of the person sitting beside him.
Yeah,
And, once again, that's one of those times where you see a cause and effect. So as far as my opinions on the movie, I've said it before. I really like it. I could say that I love it. I could say that it's probably one of my favorite movies of all times. But what I really must say about it is that I appreciate it. I really do. Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix, what they produced, really spoke to me. And as far as I'm concerned, as far as cinematography, as far as what the purpose of film is, this movie accomplished that. And so they have my thanks.
Devonte, what do you think about the movie overall?
I went in. I don't know what I was expecting, but I went in. I saw a pretty good film. I feel completed. It was what I wanted.
I think this was as close to a proper Joker origin movie that we could have ever gotten.
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard about the movie and started seeing more about it, honestly, and I think Matt can agree, we were kind of a little upset by the prospect of it, just mainly because like one of the interesting parts of Joker is the way you don't really have to know his background. He's a manic character that flows in so many different ways that his backstory doesn't really, it never really occurred to us that it mattered. But this story does really do a good job of explaining a version of the Joker, why he went on a downward spiral, why he was created by a society that was obviously going towards a direction of chaos, with the treatment of the lower class from the upper class, with how there was a disconnect from the world's, not the world's, but the city's richest man trying to run for mayor and basically calling when there's a key moment in the movie where he for we don't want to spoil too much, but basically he called some people clowns, and so they misinterpret that as the lower class people as clowns when he really meant was murderers. And because of that, as Dane said, there's obvious disconnect. There's a lot of strife in the movie, and you can feel that there's a lot of back and forth.
Something I did like as far as like the kind of the old school Joker that was developed over the course of the movie is I like that you see him without spoiling too much. You see him try to erase some of his past,
Right.
and he even makes the comment at one point in time, "I don't believe in anything."
Yeah. He didn't believe he existed before. He made that comment very clear to the social services woman that took care of him, who never really paid attention to him. He said she asked this. You asked the same questions. How are you? Are you having any negative thoughts? How's your job? You know, and I always have negative thoughts and all that. And she clearly, in his mind, didn't care. You know.
Yeah, so for me, I've always had a unique perspective on the matter when it comes to telling a Joker origin story. I've always believed that yes, Joker's origin doesn't matter. And so therefore, tell me a story. I'm okay with any writer through the Joker's mouth having Joker like Heath Ledger's Joker tell me a lie or tell me the truth or tell me anything. It doesn't actually matter. In the grand scheme of this version of Joker's origin, it it's not relevant to the character anymore. There's a point where he's just evolved past it. There's a point where because of who he is, because of this origin, he's no one.
Yeah.
He is nothing but the Joker. The
Yeah.
character's name doesn't matter anymore. His origin is untraceable. There's no one connecting him to the world anymore. He truly is free. And that's what Joker is, a type of existential putty that can be applied in so many different ways. And this is
Right.
one of the most excellent uses of him to tell a story that's very deeply related to America's history in regards to our attempts to help people with mental illnesses. The American medical industry failed at one point in time due to the economic budget of the country. We shut down most of our mental health care services and released those people into the public. And from that point onward, it spiraled down into a cycle of people not only not receiving help, but also inflicting upon themselves and others the same pain that they were suffering. And we see that perfectly in the example of the Joker.
I wonder if that was the same period, because this is obviously a period piece. I wonder if that was the same period his movie is set in.
Well, yes. I mean, not to spoil the movie, but if you follow what happened with his mother
Yeah.
at the very end of the movie, we see that there's a point in which she is in a mental health care society.
Right.
And she has had her child taken away from her.
Right.
But as we know from the movie, the Joker, his character, lives with his mother and has lived with his mother for a very long time.
Yeah.
So there's a point where in our modern day society, the child would have been taken from her and brought into another family.
Yes.
Somehow the Joker managed to get back into his mother's hands.
Yes.
Now, that is an absolute failure of the system on every way. It's an
Yeah.
existential failure, both of law enforcement, justice, mental health, child protective services. On every individual level, they failed. And that's what brought the Joker to his current
Yeah.
situation.
And in his entire life, like in so many moments, especially when he was a kid, there was moments where people could have saved him and they chose not to. Essentially, there was times where people could have made a difference in his life and they did not care about him.
Right. And some people are going to point out that when we bring this up, we're excusing the Joker's actions
No, we're not excusing it.
no, or we're using it as a justification.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not a justification. This doesn't need to be justified. In fact, if you want to look at it, you can see it as something more along the lines of a logical conclusion. In that, if you want to say argumentatively, that if you had to talk to someone, a complete stranger to you,
Right.
and there was no one else you could look to for help besides this one person, and you come to this person and you attempt to speak to them, you say hello, and they don't respond. You wave your hands in front of their face, and they don't respond. You shout at them, and they don't respond. You do backflips and cartwheels, and you joke and you laugh, and you make a billboard and a sign, and you do everything in your possible way to get them to respond to you, and nothing works. Eventually, you come to the one solution. You try violence, you hit them.
Right.
Maybe that'll be the answer.
Maybe someone will finally see I'm here. I'm
Right.
real.
And if it doesn't work after that, what did you lose? You're in the same situation you started.
Right.
And if it actually did work, well, you found your solution after trying 99 times the 100 way work.
Right. Well, you see points in the movie where like there's points of hope for him, and it fails no matter what for him. Uh, Obviously, anyone that has not seen the movie probably shouldn't be watching our portion of this podcast, just because we're discussing the fine details of the movie.
Spoiler
So
warning.
so there's spoiler warning. So basically, there's this girl that's his neighbor, and he
So in the
starts
credits, her name was Sophie Dunman.
yeah.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I watched the credits.
Yes, that's why we were the one people that stayed behind.
We got
and
ran out of the theater.
we got ran out of theater by the workers.
And they were like, "Are you staying for an after credits scene?" And I just laughed. And he looked at me like I was insane. I was like, "No, I'm just reading the credits."
I was very rude.
Yeah. We kind of didn't really respond to him. I apologize about that. But I didn't see any issue with us choosing to want to stay for the credits. I already knew that the end point was when it said the end. It wasn't a
Finn.
yeah, Finn. It wasn't a MCU or a DC universe movie. It's a standalone movie. It's not connected to some
So no need to tease us
Yeah.
with anything.
right. I
We-
mean, there could be a sequel. We don't know. Todd Phillips has said he would do it if Joaquin's down. I don't think, and me and Dane has said that the same thing. I don't think there really needs to be a second movie.
I don't think there does either.
I would like to
there-
see one,
there
though.
should be. Joaquin Phoenix doesn't do sequels though.
Yeah, that's like the whole reason why he didn't end up doing Doctor Strange, because he was like the guy that they picked for Doctor Strange, and then he backed out, and then they had to do recasting because of him.
I
It's
didn't know
okay.
that.
I think Benedict Cumberbatch looks way closer
Yeah,
to
Yeah, they
that's my guy.
it worked out. I mean, Joaquin's a fantastic actor, so is Benedict. But anyways, so there are certain key points in the movie where there's like opportunities for him to get out of this state of mind. One of those is with the girl that's his neighbor. She kind of shows some kindness to him in the elevator, and he sees that and he latches on to that
runs away with it.
and runs away with it.
Disillusion relationship.
Yeah.
Well, see, the whole point of the movie, right, is that the main character, he is presented with a problem and he has to find a solution, right? His life doesn't work. Nothing in his life is something that he can control and proceed to make a better way for himself. And so in this situation, he's looking for a solution, and three solutions get offered to him. One comes in the form of a moment of human contact
Yep.
in the elevator, because there's another attempt at it earlier with this woman who's on the bus. You saw it in the trailer, perhaps, where he made this connection with a child, and he's very good with children, but always something interferes with that moment of human connection. Maybe because he's an older man, obviously. At the time, you don't want your child to be anywhere near someone like that in that situation. You don't know them, he's a stranger. It's fine.
Or for instance, when he drops a gun in the middle of a children's hospital.
Yeah, but we're gonna get to that in just a moment. So in the elevator, he makes this moment of human connection, and he does latch onto it, and it proceeds to exemplify a mental illness that he does have, in addition to his issue with laughing, and that's that he has very vivid hallucinatory delusions. And he has very vivid hallucinatory delusions of this woman and imagining them in a situation where he could be happy. And that's one of the solutions that he finds for himself. The second solution is that one of the characters in the movie, one of his coworkers, gives him a gun. And so this gun becomes a solution to him. It could either be a way out, a tool for his suicide, a way for him to end what he perceives as his suffering, or as he later uses it in self defense, he discovers that it is also a weapon to liberate himself from his suffering as well.
Yeah.
Because the people that are inflicting this pain upon him, he can remove now that he has a method to. So this gun becomes very important to him. And that's the reason why he's carrying it around in the children's hospital. He's a character of enough intelligence to know that that's something that he shouldn't have done. But
Right.
imagine what he would be like if he had left that gun at home and then returned after a day's work and it wasn't there. It would have been the loss of hope for that character. He couldn't stand to not have it with him.
Well, I mean, when he gets beat up every 10 minutes in the movie, I mean, I think I would want a gun too.
I want to add on to what Dane was talking about for a second before we move on. But I like how the film gives you this keyhole vision in the life of Joker, and you get to see how he operates and the characters he interacts with, but you don't get to see like the motives behind
Right.
those actions
You
and
Yeah.
see
things
it in
like
his
that.
eyes most of the time.
Yeah, so you get this disillusioned vision of friends and family and hope, and then
You see glimpses of like how
yeah,
other people, like when his bit was on TV, like when you first see it, like it's viewed as when he does uh like a little comedy bit at a comedy club, and to him, he thinks everybody's loving him. It's great. And when you see it on, there's a segment on it on the TV with Robert De Niro's character making fun of it, and you see that the crowd was not laughing at his jokes, but they were laughing at him. He was a joke to them, and he called him a joker.
and I like that because in the movie it transitions from that keyhole vision from him
Yeah,
to like opening the door and you seeing exactly what's going on and the madness and the grief and the history and why the motives are the way they are. So
Well, yeah, there's a shroud that is a separation from reality across the entire film. You bring up that during Murray's show that the crowd was laughing at him, and quite honestly, I couldn't tell if that was actually the case. So when we get to the TV host playing the clip, right?
right,
I couldn't tell if that was the audience of the show laughing,
right,
the audience of the actual script where he
right,
was doing the show or the live performance laughing, or if it was an audio track
right.
that is played for the production of the TV show. So there was three different audiences potentially, and for the life of me, I couldn't discern which one was laughing at him, or if they all were, or if it wasn't real at all.
Right. Or it was all in his head, which
Right.
was
in
it's kind of
Joker's
the point.
vision.
Yeah.
So at every point in this movie, really, there's this layer. Like for instance, during the stand-up comedy routine, when he finally controls his nervousness and manages to manage his laughter to get the joke out, one of the reasons why it occurs is because he has a hallucination that the woman he met in the elevator is in the audience.
Yeah.
Well, he never invited her.
No.
There's the time in which he follows her from the school where her daughter is currently attending to where she works at the bank. And that results in her appearing before his door and confronting him. And one of the things that she does is that she immediately uses his name.
Yeah. And he's
Well,
never.
he never told her his
Yeah.
name. And so that for me immediately signified that this was a part of his delusions because there was just information that couldn't be there.
I felt like it was pretty obvious too when she was like, "So I saw you following me all day." Like, what sane person would be like, "That's okay. I'm gonna come talk to you."
Yeah.
Side note, she does uses his name towards the end when he
Yeah.
breaks into her
She
apartment.
kind of
But
knows it because they're
Sh-
neighbors.
Even then,
Yeah.
she's not aware of actually if that's the case. She has to ask, "Is
Yeah.
that your name? Your name is right?"
Arthur, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So she's not even sure. So it just confirms that even more so.
Yeah.
You were talking about the keyhole thing, and I thought it was really interesting. And when you see him interact with his neighbor, he always looks a little cleaner.
Yeah.
His hair looks a little better. You're seeing it from his point of view.
You get this tunneled perspective.
Yeah. Because like when you first see him, like his body, you can tell that like he's malnourished, he's been beat up a lot and stuff, and like he slouches and stuff like that. And then when you see like the moments where he's like imagining things happening that aren't really happening, he's kind of his posture's more straight, his body looks more, not so disformed.
One of the most interesting things as far as tracking the cinematography of the movie is actually tracking his makeup.
Yeah.
You'll notice that there's points where there are remnants of the clown makeup that are on his face, around his chin or mouth.
Yep.
And keeping track of that is also another way of trying to maintain if this is a moment of reality or if it's a moment of delusion.
So whenever he didn't have the makeup on, that's when it was a moment of
Because there was no
delusion.
point in which he had removed it.
Right. Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
And so for me, that whole is this real? Is this not? It's the same thing from the King of Comedy. It's the same type of cinematography uh, use of that motif, but it also brings in highlights another point, which is perspective. This
Right.
movie does highlight that basically every main character in it fails to see the perspective of the character they're currently dealing with.
You can definitely tell that with Robert De Niro's character. Like he did not get what was going on. Like he was
No.
playing along with it.
Right. Well, it's also just a perfect way of putting it that it wasn't intentional.
Right.
It wasn't malicious.
No.
He didn't understand.
He also seemed to really be legitimately trying to talk to him.
Well,
And
he
then
was curious.
Yeah, yeah, like he was not like blowing him off. So, again, if you're listening to this, there will be spoilers within. Joker gets an interview with the comedy host, and he basically tells him he killed 3 people in the subway, and the host is like, "What? That's not a good joke, like, where's the
Yeah.
punchline?"
He assumes it's a joke the first time
Yeah.
around. And then after that, he's looking for reasons that he can understand.
Right.
Right? He asks, are you doing it to make a political statement?
And that's the first point, the first time you see him actually come with a form of aggression towards him.
Right.
Just because he sees that he won't be understood here.
Yeah. Well, I was really shocked how he was still trying to talk to him. Like, who would still try to
Yeah.
talk to the guy who just said
Red
he
flag.
killed 3?
Well,
he
I
killed 3
mean,
The guy in the
people.
background, like,
He's like,
Red
cut this
flag.
Don't
off.
do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
but
like
wait,
finish the interview.
But isn't this also just a perfect epitome of the old saying, curiosity kills the cat?
Yeah, but he did, like, you would have thought he would have looked a bit more nervous than he did. Like, Robert De Niro's character seemed like so confident in that situation. Like, he did not think he was about to.
Well, I mean, but why would he?
Yeah.
Right? The guy that he brought onto his show is a failed stand-up comic.
Yeah. Well, he just also told him that he shot and killed 3 people.
Yeah, sure, okay. But did you believe him?
I mean, I guess if he was a nobody,
He is, isn't he?
So he's a
good
nobody.
point.
So why would you admit that you just killed those 3 people?
Well, he says to himself, I have nothing to lose. But
Yeah.
as far as the character is sitting in that chair and trying to comprehend what's sitting in front of him.
Right.
The
Because
effort-
people don't do that.
Right. Well, no, I mean, the effort being put into it, right? There's plenty of times where you see this in this movie where people are trying to understand
Yeah.
who this character is. Why is he here and what is going on? Look at the cops that were after him for
They were
chasing.
so confused when they saw he
He
starts
was-
dancing on a case of stairs, and he's in his full Joker outfit that you see in the trailers, where he gets all in his outfit, and he's just sitting there dancing, enjoying himself, doing a jig,
Right.
and they're watching him like, what the heck?
Because that elaborate pantomime is something so unique and out of the ordinary, something so other that they had to take time to process it. And other than that, the moment that they were able to comprehend it, they continued on with their business as they should have. They called his name, tried to get his attention, and he ran.
Yeah, and then they knew, okay, all right, this is the guy that we were supposed to go with.
Right.
Obviously, he's the guy.
And so that moment of attempting to understand something that is outside of your ability to comprehend is the same thing that you saw there. You see it also with Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne's character comes off villainous, very political, very distant, and very
Right.
uncaring. But we know Thomas Wayne, and Thomas Wayne in this movie, it was still the same Thomas Wayne that we've always known. In fact, Fleck's mother brings it up time and time again. She says only one thing about Thomas Wayne: he is a good man, and that if he understood their situation, he would have helped them. She says it every time his name is ever brought up, and I believe that that's accurate because she worked for him, and that is her understanding of him, even despite her
don't
deep
know about that.
even despite her deep mental illness. I don't think that's a delusion about Thomas Wayne. I think that's true. I think that the issue with Thomas Wayne is that we only get to see him from this perspective. And the same way people failed to understand Joker was the same way they failed to understand Thomas Wayne. It was a series of misunderstandings that led to this situation.
The only time we actually see Thomas Wayne get aggressive or in any kind of like physical form is only after Arthur has visited Wayne Manor.
Yeah, and touched his son. He put
And
his
harmed
feet
Alfred.
and
Also-
fallen out.
Yeah, he harmed Alfred.
Yeah.
He choked Alfred he choked Alfred by the gate bars.
Yeah.
And so and even when Thomas Wayne is aware of this, Thomas Wayne knows who this person is. He isn't necessarily sure, he can't immediately identify him, but the moment it clicks, Thomas Wayne doesn't respond like most people normally would. Thomas Wayne has the same issue. He tries to understand who this is and why this person is here. And he ends up in the same situation, which, results in him punching him and leaving. But there's a
Like
moment
you
where
see in the
he's
trailer.
yeah, there's a moment where he's just trying to figure out, no, I don't understand. Your mother and I didn't have a relationship. You're not my illegitimate son.
Yeah. Your mother is just unstable.
I
And
can't comprehend
yeah.
why you're here. So he aborts the conversation and just leaves this message.
Yeah.
Don't touch my child again. Because he couldn't understand the situation. He had to just leave with what he had. And eventually that would have happened to every other character given the opportunity. They
Right.
proceed to go on about their life because they fail to understand.
They didn't know how unstable he was.
Right. And I mean, he was something that you just couldn't comprehend because he was so far out of the bounds of their day-to-day life. Their perspective could not empathize with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the one thing this movie actually managed to achieve is that if you paid attention to it, if you were a person who was open-minded, if you could have just sat and experienced,
Right.
we understood because we got the full perspective.
Right.
And the movie, even of it of itself, even though it perfects this one moment, it also fails in some ways because we don't understand Murray. We don't understand Thomas Wayne. Everything that we're saying about these characters is an assumption because we didn't get to see their lives.
We didn't see much of them at
We
all.
always saw them through Joker.
Right.
And so the same people that misunderstood him, we misunderstand them.
Right.
It's a depth to this movie that I really appreciate.
What were you gonna say, Devontae?
I wanted to add on to the idea you stated that his mother had this idea of how Thomas Wayne was, but she was also diagnosed with disillusioned hallucinations and narcissistic personality disorders. So how do we know exactly that that's how Thomas Wayne was?
Because we
she
see the
said that
same
Joker was
symptoms.
happy all his life, and he wasn't.
Right, but we see the same symptoms in Arthur Fleck himself. Her delusion is no different than Arthur's delusion. We can basically hold it as a one for one. So where she saw an imaginary relationship with Mr. Wayne, it's obvious that that relationship started in the same way it did for Fleck and the woman
Yeah.
living in his building. It was a moment of kindness that allowed this delusion to exist. So in order for her to have held Thomas Wayne in this position to
Could have
this
been kind
point,
to her.
he had to have been kind to her.
It could have been superficial kindness at the very least.
Right, but
Yeah.
we'll never get to understand
Yeah,
that
Matt,
because we
yeah.
never got Thomas Wayne's perspective.
Right.
So we can only assume. And every
Yeah.
time he's brought up, her words
Because
are
we don't even know what her job was.
right.
She could have been like she was probably some very low level employee that maybe had encountered him once,
But
but we don't know that.
You have to look at how dedicated she was to the idea that she thought he was a good man.
Right.
Every day she wrote him a letter
Yeah.
asking for help.
Right.
She truly did believe this.
It's probably one of those moments where she's in the office and he walks by and they have a nice little interaction. He's like,
how's your day?
yeah, something along the same lines as, because even Arthur took the moment and
Yeah.
ran with that, and that wasn't necessarily like a,
It was just her kind of joking with him.
Well, no, yeah, it was her making him laugh and him achieving and making her smile.
Wow.
And that was a moment of such significance that when he was at his darkest point, he believed the delusion so firmly that he came into her house, sat down on her couch, and was waiting to be comforted.
Yep. And that did not happen.
And that's what broke him from that delusion.
Yeah.
And that was one of his solutions, dying.
Yeah.
And one of his other solutions was killing himself. And he thought firmly that if he got onto Murray's show and made one last joke and died, it would have been worth it. And so he comes onto the show, and I was waiting to see which way he would make that decision. I was okay with the movie ending in that way. But he reaches into his pocket, and there's two things that he can pull out. One was the gun. The other one was his book of jokes. And so when he pulled out his book of jokes, I realized that he was not going to kill himself. And there was only one solution left, which was hurt the people he perceived that have hurt him.
Right.
So I saw it coming. There was only one other solution there. You were saying something, Matt?
I was just going to say, like, as far as the deaths that take place at his hands, the only one I did not see coming was the hospital scene.
Oh, with his mom.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Once he figured out that he was adopted and all that stuff about him when he was abused, I think all those memories came flooding back in. I think he really did not remember that stuff. I think he suppressed it. And then he realized she's been lying to me this whole time, type of thing.
right. And I think that phrase perfectly summarizes his solution that he had three. I could be happy with someone.
Right.
The second solution was I can kill myself
Yeah.
as long as that death has meaning. And the third was hurt the people that hurt you. And his mother hurt him.
Badly.
The way he handled it to me was like so casual.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was when we finally saw that break, that transformation, because like initially when he uses violence, he uses it in a self-defense manner.
Yeah. When he
Right,
shoots
because
us.
he's not aware yet that
Yeah.
that's a solution. It never crossed his mind that he could become a violent person to get a result.
Well, that was because he was abused since he was a young kid. When you're abused like that, you don't think of
Fighting back.
fighting back.
And
I mean,
he
not saying that fighting back in the way that Joker did was okay, but that once he got a taste of that from all the years of abuse and being ignored, he realized, hey, I will be noticed. And I think that's what happens in society today. There's an issue where when we unfortunately do have somebody that does have mass shootings and stuff, they are sensationalized on media. And in their eyes, then they are somebody. They will be somebody that is remembered, and maybe not for the right reasons, obviously for the wrong reasons, but in their mind it didn't matter because their life didn't matter in their mindset, just like with the Joker.
All right. And to keep that symbolism rolling as far as across real life, the movie, and then the symbolism of the movie or events of the
Yeah.
movie itself, it's the city of Gotham that kept Joker alive.
Right.
If it wasn't for the fact that his actions on the train became something of notoriety that got him noticed, that had people resembling him in the street, something that gave his life value, if it wasn't for Gotham, he would have chosen the other option where he tried to kill himself to get that recognition.
Yeah. But then he became famous amongst the people. They thought it was great that he killed some rich people that worked for Thomas Wayne.
Right. And it reinforced that as the
Yeah.
right solution.
In his mind.
I was just gonna say, like, because I had the thought going back into the disconnect with Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne's on national television talking about how great and good these 3 employees of his are, not knowing that they were just douchebags, like,
Right.
Well, of
the
course,
night
that's
before.
that's very corporate talk. I mean, of course, they worked for his company. Of course, he's going to say
Well,
that.
I mean, they were drunk. No. He may have actually have known them.
He might have.
Right. They were drunk. They were acting like idiots. And they believed that the Joker was laughing at them. They
Yeah.
couldn't understand why he was laughing. Once
They
again,
didn't
this
know he
goes
had
back to
disorder.
this theme.
Yeah.
Right. And so when Thomas Wayne gets out there, the only thing he's talking about is 3 young men that he knew personally. Right. And so the city just doesn't understand what Thomas Wayne's talking about. Right? Because they know these types of people. They are on the train with these types of people. That woman on the train knows the type of person those 3 men were.
And it was also
But
kind of
Thomas Wayne does not.
It's kind of interesting when she looked at the Joker, like, are you not going to do anything about this?
Yeah.
Are you going to let them?
Yeah.
Because there was a woman that was essentially being harassed by these 3 drunk, rich douchebags, and Joker's just sitting there. And when she gives eye contact to him, it makes him uncomfortable,
And that's what starts him laughing.
and that's what starts him laughing.
I feel like that was a big scene too, to capitalize off of Dane's perspective on the solutions. I feel like it was more about his sanity during this film, and the train scene was just like a vent of that insanity because he had these connections where he was calm and mellow, and it was his job, his mom, and his comedy stand up routine.
He had a path forward.
Yeah, and all of that got trashed.
Yeah,
So,
trampled on. He just found out he lost his job.
His
and
mother was dying.
His mother's dying. There was this one thing after another. And it was interesting. After he shot those guys and he ran into that restroom, he just started doing that dancing that he did.
Yeah, his phantoming.
His
way
phantoming.
of calming down.
Yeah.
That was like the capital scene of his insanity just breaking through.
Yeah, that was like one of the moments where you're starting to realize, okay, this character is becoming the Joker.
He,
Right.
it
And-
plays out like self-defense, but once he walks and chases that one guy down, you realize like he wants to do this.
Right.
Well, I mean, there's even the argument to be made that in that moment, it's him understanding that that is a solution. But
Yeah.
even if you consider it to be excessive self-defense, which it definitely would qualify as far as him chasing down the last perpetrator.
Yeah.
The thing about him being in the bathroom and phantomiming was that we have ways of expressing ourselves that we understand, right? But Arthur never did, right? When he wanted to cry, his brain disorder made him laugh. And so
Yeah.
we couldn't understand that. And so where in everyone else's situation in that moment where you're coming down from the tension, the emotional high of having been in a violent situation, his response wasn't to get the shakes or to panic and curl up into a ball or to cry
Right.
in that bathroom. He danced, he phantomimed.
Yeah.
His exaggerated character, it's an expression for him. And we have to come to understand it, because if we don't, then we fail just like Thomas Wayne fails, just like Murray fails, just like the city of Gotham fails. And it's a test for us to understand him.
Well, you also see that while he's in the apartment by himself, he does a lot of that stuff where he's kind of talking to himself and stuff like that, his pantomiming and stuff. You know, you see a lot of that.
Mhm. in a
Yeah, I
different.
thought that was an interesting perspective, kind of getting him, you seen him by himself trying to act out stuff and things, you know?
Yeah, prepping for social situations that he could
Yeah.
be in. Because the more prepped he is, the less likely he is to laugh, the less likely he is to mess up. He's trying to make this connection every step of the way.
Yeah,
He wants to do well on Murray's show, so he practices like all of Murray's other guests. He's literally
right.
watching reruns in preparation to have this moment and for it to be successful, so that he can have this last hope
Yeah. And
of making it.
he probably has the whole reason why he has this condition more than likely is due to the brain damage that was caused by the abuse from his mom and his mom's boyfriend.
Yeah, it was registered.
Yeah.
The person who's interrogating her when she first enters the mental asylum in the flashback
Yeah.
specifically says he had bruises all over his body and brain damage.
Yeah. So that's probably the whole reason why he laughs the way he laughs. Oh, and here is our mascot. She just ran out of her little cave area. You gonna come talk on the show, Nico? Looking right at the camera, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Little Miss Star over here.
What up?
But yeah, so but back to the whole point there are so many layers and there's such depth to this movie that I really have to just say that I appreciate it. I really do.
Can we talk about Joker Gang? Because I want to talk about Joker
Oh,
Gang.
the scene in the train or when they pull him out of the car.
The-
Both.
Pulling him out of the car, I kind of wish there would have been a little more between them pulling him out of the car, him getting on the hood of the car, and then we see him in the asylum, because it goes from him being free to him being locked up like immediately, and there's no like pacing there.
Transition.
Yeah, there's no transition there. So I want to know more about what happened with that.
Well, I mean, I like the way they leave it that way because once again, it reinforces the screen between reality and his delusions. Was that the case? Did they actually pull him out that car? Did you know what I'm saying? Because there are times where you can't tell.
I see what you're saying.
That's a
I
good
see what
point.
you're saying.
Right. See, I also think of it as a perfect example of symbolism. If just like how Gotham and its media kept him from killing himself originally,
Yeah.
Gotham saves him from that car. Well, I mean, Gotham also causes the car crash,
Yeah.
but regardless, they do pull him out of the wreck.
They looked at him as a savior, and it could just be all in his head. They could have
But
not beat him
regardless
back
of
at
if it's
all.
real or not, Gotham is what saved him. Gotham is what gave him this solution.
Yeah.
Right? Because killing those guys in self-defense wasn't the trigger. It was the idea. The thing that reinforced it was Gotham. Gotham taking his image, Gotham putting him in the media, Gotham idolizing him.
The social commentary just gets better.
Yeah, the more you think about it, like, because we just watched the movie, so like, if we're just like sitting here, like, marinating, just thinking about all the stuff that the movie pointed out. It was a, very thought-provoking movie, like we thought it was going to be. It did not disappoint whatsoever.
Right. And overall, I mean, it was funny. And I know that people may frown upon people taking that movie and looking at all the subject matter that it has and finding it funny, but I did.
There was definitely comedy in it for sure.
Dark comedy.
Yeah.
Right. There's always of that variety, but like every step of the way, there was something I wanted to laugh about, but I put off. Right.
Like the Randall scene when he kills Randall.
Well, that was the breaking moment. That was
Yeah.
the moment for me in the theater where all the times I wanted to laugh but decided not to, I couldn't hold it anymore.
The locked door killed me. That killed me.
So there is this guy that worked with the Joker named Randall,
Who gives him the gun?
who gives him the gun. Well, the whole reason why Randall gave him the gun was trying to sabotage him. He wanted him to not work for them anymore because he thought he was a weirdo. It's not ever said, but it's inferred.
Yeah.
And so him and this midget that worked with them comes and checks up on him because they find out that his mom died. Of course, they don't know that Joker was the one that killed his mom. And so he's like, I'm great. I'm feeling awesome. And he has these scissors. Well, he stabs. I mean, he just stabs Randall. That dude is dead.
It was a moment of glorious, gratuitous violence, and I
Yes.
appreciated it.
And to top it off, the tipping point, the midget's scared to death, thinking he's going to kill him too. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, you were always nice to me.
So
And
you're free to go.
You're free to go." And so the midget goes to the door, and he's got the door's already locked, And so he's like, I can't reach that top lock. Can you get
Yeah,
it for
the
me?
the Joker locked it when they came in because he
Yeah.
was always preparing to kill Randall.
Oh yeah, he was prepared.
And so because he locked the top lock, which is the slide lock,
Yeah.
of course, the midget having the inability to reach, which the midget is almost in relation to Joker, someone very similar. He has a physical disability while
So
Joker
everybody
has a
picks on
mental
him.
one. Yeah, yeah. That's why they had this similarity, and that's the reason why they had this bond. And that was also the reason why the midget was the only person that actually understood him.
Yeah.
Even when they come to visit him for his mom's just passed away, even Randall's not 100% for that reason. He even starts to question Arthur. He's like, "So what
What did
did
you
you
tell
tell
the
the
cops?
cops?" You know,
He's there because the gun belongs to Randall. He's there to protect himself. He's there
Yeah.
completely for selfish reasons. However, Joker's friend, which I don't know if you really call him a friend or not, but that midget brought a bottle of really nice booze.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
he knew he felt like his friend was in pain.
Yeah.
And he was concerned. Unlike the other one who had, ulterior motive.
Really
when
good
he's
scene.
oh,
Go
I was just gonna say
Randall was the real bad guy of the movie.
he really was.
Oh,
Like, I mean,
Oh.
besides Joker himself, but like if you think about it, like he was the one person that was like actually like
well, he
purposely
definitely
bad to him.
he initiated the events. If
Yeah.
it wasn't for him handing Joker a gun, Joker would never have been
Yeah.
capable. And it goes off to another point to make another social comment that this is exactly how these type of people get guns. Not that some random friend of theirs just hands them one, but
Right.
Joker didn't try to apply for one. Joker never thought of having one. Joker didn't go into a gun store or find one on some random sale or order it online. Somebody who had an unlicensed weapon handed him an unlicensed weapon. And Joker said himself, I'm not supposed to have this. He was aware that because of his mental illness, he couldn't have a gun and accepted it because the guy made the argument, use it in self-defense.
Devonta, you had something you were gonna say before I said my point.
No, I was just gonna say it was a really good scene.
I think when he initially slipped those scissors into his back pocket, I don't think he was prepared for so much Randall and his coworker. I think he was prepared for just about anybody that was going to be at that door.
He was full blown crazy at that point.
Yeah.
All right, because like I said, he had locked in that solution, but he hadn't realized it yet.
Our guest star is causing a ruckus right now.
Yeah.
Well, it is a cat.
I'm gonna let my wife grab her real quick. Just 1 second.
It does love being in the spotlight.
Yes, she does.
Our podcast was invaded by a cat. Speaking of which, I want to let you know that one of the best jokes of the movie was in reference to cats. It was that Gotham was being invaded by super rats. So the mayor had a solution. Super cats.
Sorry for that interruption, but my cat had to be the star of the show. All right. I think this is a good pausing point real quick. We'll do we have any more points to bring up about the movie before I think I'll bring it to a close here, and we'll come back to focus on more cinematic universe related news.
Well, yeah, I got one last thing, and it's real quick.
Okay.
If you let controversy or just whatever the media is storming up about this movie prevent you from seeing it, I think that you have honestly made a mistake.
Yes.
Go see it for yourself. Make your own decisions. Please go watch this movie.
Stay woke.
I definitely agree with our co-host. You should definitely check out the movie. If anything, if you're concerned about it encouraging someone with mental health, I would argue against it. I think it's a good cautionary tale. I think it makes you realize you need to be more mindful about the people around you. You need to pay attention more to make sure that people are getting the proper help they need, and that your friends themselves, not just strangers. You have to make sure to keep an eye on them. We've seen it all too often with people that I'm sure you're personally close to, and famous people. The most notable one will always be Robin Williams to most people. He was a man of comedy, a man that brought many people joy, and you never would have thought he would have killed himself. And that happened. And so this movie really points out you really have to pay attention to these cautionary tales. But it was an enjoyable movie. We really enjoyed it. And I really hope that there's more movies in the comic book world that come out like this. We'll be back after this break.